Why, hi there! Welcome to another Chubs Gone Wild. This is episode 459, recorded on September 6th, 2022. I have to turn my fan off. And, well, it's currently 113 and sunny outside the Chubs Gone Wild remote studios, so I didn't really want to turn my fan off, but we are putting our listeners and their enjoyment first. Anyway, it is 45 days until Canadian Thanksgiving. What are you going to do on Canadian Thanksgiving?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving.
I'll probably be working, so I think it's on a Monday.
They usually.
Yeah. It's also 55 days till Halloween. Okay. 79 days till Thanksgiving, 110 days until Christmas. So it's really good that I just opened up my Christmas holiday savings account. And also, it is 56 days, just 56 days until TJ Zombie Girl retires. And then she's taking up the second career as a costume maker.
A paid costume maker?
I hope so.
I do
I
too.
bet she could get paid for it.
Well, no, it's just everybody we know that's in theater or does anything theater oriented gets nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. Although Teresa became a costumer, and I think that she manages to eke out a living at that. Well, no, I tell a lie because she also is a teacher for disabled. So, oh well. But let's talk about Patreon. Patreon offers folks a way to support creators like us and receive rewards not open to the general public, like My Life in Fragments podcast, books, videos, and more. And we want to thank our current patrons, Clint, Nephi, Nick, DJ Starsage from the Universe, Eric, Sean, Charles, Brother Sinatus, Phoenix Dave, Kingsley, and Moose P. Please visit patreon.com/Matt Burlingame and find out how you can support the show for as little as $1 a month.
It was a terrible William Shatner.
I know, I was going there, but then, yeah, I lost it.
So you never had a
I
great.
once told our little theater person that the reason that Shatner spoke like that was because he was classically trained as a Shakespearean actor, and he was delivering all of his lines in iambic pentameter, which went over his head, and then he made fun of me for it the rest of the time. Moving on.
Is that true?
If you watch the way he acts in the
Well, I
early Star
know.
Treks,
Yeah.
I think so. I really think so. I think that he's got a rhythm to the way he speaks, and I think it's basically coming out like that.
Well,
But
that does make sense. I mean, if you listen to like Clinton and Obama speak, they are very purposeful
mhm,
of everything they're saying,
yes.
so that you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, very
It's
good. Very
it's
good.
really it's
Yeah.
just really interesting. That was more Obama,
Yeah.
but Clinton does the same thing, and I can't do his voice.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that might have something to do with it. So yeah, that was good. Um, on September 6th, 1915, a prototype tank named Little Willie rolls off the assembly line in England. Little Willie. Aww. Little Willie was far from an overnight success. It weighed 14 tons, so it was a Chubs gone wild. Um, got stuck in trenches and crawled over rough terrain at only 2 miles an hour. However, improvements were made to the original prototype, and tanks eventually transformed military battles.
Well, they were saying that during the winter time, the Russian tanks going through the area around the war were having problems because of just different elements like ice and water that, boggy kind of areas that prevented it from moving correctly. So they're still having problems with tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great as long as the area is flat and dry.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's see if we accidentally celebrated any holidays today. I know it happens to me every once in a while. I'm like, oh my God, it was Arbor Day. Who knew? I planted a tree. Anyway, today we celebrate Another Look Unlimited. Okay. Barbie dolls. Nope. Uh, Fight procrastination. I'm always putting off fights. The Great Egg Toss. Nope. Haven't tossed my eggs lately. I did crack a few and scramble them this morning, though. Also, National Coffee Ice Cream Day. Read a book. Might do part of that later. Stillbirth Remembrance Day. There you go. And also Telephone Tuesday. Mr. Telephone Tuesday. Were you into Barbie dolls as a kid? Wanting to play with dolls? Anything?
No, but we're the same age. But she's older than I am.
Yeah. Well, you look better.
Oh.
Anyway, I wasn't. I didn't get the. I mean, I was fine with the. I mean, I got a $6 million man doll, and that was about it. I never really cared for dolls of any kind. I was more into like Snoopies and plushies and stuff.
Yeah, did you put it in your butt?
No, actually, I stripped him naked, found nothing interesting, and popped his head off and carried it in my pocket. So kind of, like a modern relationship. But he was a $6 million man. For anyone that doesn't know, because you're too young, he had a little eyeglass thing that was a magnifying glass for his eye. So I would look through that and yeah, magnify things. Hmm. So, well, those were fabulous days to remember. Today's affirmation, please bear with me and take a deep breath. I let yesterday belong to the past. I turn my total attention to this moment and exhale. Oh, that was lovely. All right. Well, we do have some awesome birthdays coming up. And a few that we might have missed yesterday. I don't know. Let's see. Happy birthday to author Ashley Broom. Also to Jeff. And we have some great upcoming birthdays here. Scott, Elise, Davin, Jimmy. Jimmy. We got Ali, Nell, Richard Wagner, who is one of the first people to get a degree in sexuality. So that's pretty cool. Well, sex, period, just sex. Daniel, Jason, our dear friend Jason, who used to work on the TV show with us, and Juan. That's it. Happy birthday. All right. Well, we didn't get anything in our feedback. Made me very sad. But one of my chub hugs goes out to somebody who regularly does write into our feedback and had commented on one of our recent videos, and that is to our patron Sean, who is also dealing with this extreme heat wave with only a fan. And that saddens me. And my other chub hugs go out to all the people who are dealing with this extreme heat wave. Although I did hear that they finally have some rain and stuff going on in England, in the Britons. Oh, and also to Steve in Scotland. Shout outs to him. He's very upset because the Tories are saying horrible things about the Scots. So, how about you? I know you've got some chub hugs to give out.
Well, besides, as you mentioned, the people dealing with this heat wave, which is, I mean, we're having like we're beating all-time records each passing day.
Yeah.
So, oh, we had a record yesterday, but we'll beat it today and
Uh,
possibly beat it again on Thursday.
and it's the hottest day that they have in recorded history. Yeah.
Right in this area, and a lot of places in California, Nevada, Arizona, New
Or
Mexico, Oregon, Washington, all across the West. They're having this heat wave, and then on the East Coast, uh, Rhode Island's flooded
mhm.
like crazy, and it's the storms moving in. I was watching the news; they hadn't said which state was going to get hit with it next, but then we've got floods in Pakistan that are where it's like a third of the country is covered in water right now from
Jeez.
flooding, and it's moved into India now. So yeah, there's no climate change. It's September. It's supposed to be hot and wet at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was sarcasm.
I know. I mean,
Okay.
this whole global warming shit, I mean, we've been warned about it. We've seen it happening. They fucking deny it just because they want big money to continue making big money until there's no people left to make big money off of.
Well, at least if they know it's happening, and if
Mhm.
they would be more apt to promote solar and wind power, which
Mhm.
is what we can actually get a hold of,
Right.
and it's cheap and it's constant. It's like Palm Springs. They don't have rolling blackouts. You know why? Because they've embraced the solar
Mhm.
because they're in a hot area.
Yeah.
They and the wind because they get big winds down there,
Mhm.
and it covers all their electric
Right.
and keeps them cool during the summertime.
And that is one of the things that we're about to experience. I have a feeling, whether we want is rolling blackouts. They actually released our electric. You probably got one. Electricity sent us an email saying check what number you guys are because for 1 hour a day, well, for 1 hour, each of the 39 places that we send power to will receive 1 hour where their power is turned off. So,
Grandma, is
yeah,
she not running anymore?
exactly. Well, you should have known. We sent you an email, Grandma. You know how to work that computer, don't you? And also, so apparently Newsom has put something in that by the year like 2035, that he doesn't that California isn't going to be selling gas cars anymore, only electric. Um, and of course, the Republicans, the first thing they're doing is like, oh, we're going to have rolling blackouts, but we're going to have it even worse because people are going to be charging their cars at the same time. Oh, we're going to lose all our power because people are charging their cars. And it's like, apparently, you know nothing about electric cars. It just doesn't work that way. Anyway,
Yeah, and the other one that I think is hilarious. Now, this isn't going to happen for years,
right.
and they're going, well, what about the people who can't afford, to buy an electric car? Well, they're not going to have a choice, and the prices will be more affordable as we progress down the lane, and also, and I also love the people that think of, oh, what about we're paying to put up electric gas stations for these people with electric cars. But what about people who don't even have a car? They're having to pay for those with their taxes. And my answer is, and I have no children, and I'm paying for your fucking kids' schools.
That's
So it
true.
balances out, okay?
That's true. Yep. Yeah.
Well,
It's
one
just
oh,
ridiculous. ridiculous. I'm so
One good
sad.
thing about my area is that I'm right near
Hospital.
the hospital. So um, we kind of, it's not, well, we're no longer technically on the hospital grid because they basically have their own.
Mm.
They don't like to let the electricity go out on the areas around the hospital because that causes traffic problems for ambulances. So we
Ah,
want to keep those lights going.
yeah.
You know where they don't need the lights going? 12th and Franklin. They don't need lights out there. So, if they black out for a while, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, this whole area. Actually, yeah, 39 areas. They're like the blackouts will last for no longer than an hour at a time and will rotate through all 39 districts before we come back to yours. Oh, lovely. Anyway. Oh, and then of course the thing that also got me, which I talked to you about a few minutes ago, was when they've sent out notices saying um raise your air conditioners to 83 so that it will save on energy. I'm like, it's 115 outside. It doesn't matter what your air conditioner set to, it's still going to be running.
No, mine isn't.
Well, yours isn't because you're special.
No, mine, what happens is it only comes on like about every 15 minutes, cools it back down, and then we're fine. That's what they're
Hmm.
saying. If you have it at 72 or 71, it's constantly running. Where mine just turned off about 3 minutes ago.
Wow. See, you are wonderful because you are in compliance. You're like, yes, I will see your 83 and I will raise you another 10 degrees. I love
Well,
90 degrees in the house.
no, I actually have it set for 77. I was lying.
Oh,
But
burn.
but but the other thing is, and I'm not also compliant. I also have, solar panels
Mhm.
that I'm selling, active energy to back to SMUD to make sure that your area doesn't go black.
That's very sweet. And then they upsell it to me, and I have to pay a lot of money for it. Yeah. So, oh well, we're still cool. Halloween's coming. All right, monkeypox. The infection usually starts within about 3 weeks. The symptoms of it does, and include flu-like symptoms such as rashes and sores that can look like pimples or blisters. It typically lasts 2 to 4 weeks and is spread through direct touching of infected areas of skin, body fluids, intimate contact, and touching items of clothing such as bedding, towels, or other personal items like clothes. Yeah. Oh, and they have to have the virus in order to actually get it. Just letting you know. Learn more at cdc.gov, and this information was sponsored by Golden Rule Services at sacgrs.org. And I am very happy to see that there is many, many more monkeypox things here. But I did hear over the weekend a few other people who were saying the same things that we were talking about, and that is that it is very bad to that they were trying the CDC was basically trying to say that this was you try to classify this as an STD and say I was like I don't know for sure whether they were trying to do that to like get better care or whatever, but all it did, and this is coming from an ER doctor, is like all it does is it stigmatizes it even more as a gay disease. And then the basic community outside of the gay community just ignores it until they get it spread everywhere because they fucking ignored it because they were told it was a gay STD. Anyway, moving on. Well, guess what? Best-selling novelist Nora Roberts has donated $50,000 to a library that was defunded over books with LGBTQ content. And she said, a community library getting defunded is both appalling and sad. Agreed. All right. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves was too busy attacking the LGBTQ people to fix Jackson's water problem. The state's capital city is without water for the foreseeable future because the state's Republicans were too busy fighting culture wars.
No, the problem is that the people who because it is this the state capital, the white people who seem to be all of the politicians don't live within the city limits. So when they wanted money for refunding the water lines, they all said, "No, no, we don't need that." And also, they just went through big floods, and that's what caused all this. So more flooding, just more flooding.
Well, if they're flooding, then they have water.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a misleading headline. Nephi would be so upset. Anyway, a new PAC has launched to campaign against anti-LGBTQ candidates. The group was formed in the wake of the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's assertion that marriage equality should also be overturned. And finally, the term twink refers to a subgroup of gay men, subgroup,
I know.
uh, who are youthful, thin, and have virtually no facial or body hair. Oh, but while many of the community have openly embraced these terms, others are wary of its potentially derogatory and harmful connotations, and therefore they are moving that twink no longer be a word used by the community, which just to me at this point feels like they're just trying to erase all of our culture. Soon
No,
it'll be like, fat guys are just fat guys. Stop calling them bears. You're insulting bears.
I love the commercial. There's a commercial right now where the guys they're I don't even know what the commercial for. It's probably for like a beer commercial, but they go up to some place and they go, "Well, you said that there were bears swimming, but this isn't what I expected." And it's actual bears, right? And I'm thinking, okay, does that mean I don't know. Is this a gay commercial? I don't know.
That's funny.
It's funny.
No. Anyway, those are the headlines. Uh, so now that the headlines out of the way, let's get to the B lines and find out. Hey, Tom, tell us about your week.
Let's see. So I've been watching well a lot of Alone and Glee as I have been the past few weeks, months. I'm just thoroughly enjoying them. We watch at least one of each a night. The problem is that I'm not having dreams about camping alone in the Canadian wilderness. I'm having dreams about Glee.
Huh?
And it's just weird. A couple nights ago, I had this strange where it was a dream where only certain things could happen, and it could only happen for certain characters, could only do certain things. And I was in that group, and it was very complicated and kind of I was thrashing around a lot. But last night, I'm having these two episodes, and I'm like, okay, well, the episode where they have the house fire, and then the episode where there's the older guy that's causing problems for them, and he's on a raft at one point.
Hmm.
I don't know. And to me, it was like, oh, well, at least I know these two episodes. I don't know these two episodes. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So yeah, but my afternoon, nap dreams are fine.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, this was interesting. You'll like this. On Big Brother, they finally got rid of KKK Kyle.
Oh.
And it was interesting because he was going around telling people, okay, he's in two different alliances, and he's telling the people that aren't in the alliances, those people are in an alliance. And I was with them, but I just felt bad about it.
Uh,
Let's form our own alliance. Well, the people who, you know, the white people that he talked to about how we should have, we should watch out for those other people. and us five, which all have to be white, we should form our own, to make sure that they don't try to pull something like they did last year, and
Ooh,
referring to when the cookout,
yeah.
the six African American players got together and very
Meticulously.
meticulously eliminated all the characters, and
Yeah.
most of them had no idea what was going on until I think they were down to the last two, let's say, not persons of color. And so I mean, you were rooting for him last year because
Yeah.
it was so cool the way the process was done. But Kyle, although I if the thing is, I know what he was saying, that maybe is this something we should be thinking about,
Mm.
but the way he approached it, every time he brought it up, it was always like, you know, are they trying to do this again? Uh, and maybe we should all stick together. And he would always name off the white people. And so the people that he was approaching told the black people, and the black people are like, oh. Well, because
He
and,
is a
and the thing was, uh, Kyle actually confronted one of the people that was talking about him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, when did I say it? What did I say that made you think that I'm some sort of racist?" Oh, those six, we should probably all form a group of us, which
Oh
is
God.
white person, white person, white person, white person, and that way they won't try pulling that like they did last year. And he goes, well, what's wrong with that? Listen to what you said.
Right?
It's the way you say
He
it.
is.
And the thing is, you were talking about him back at the beginning of the season. They were just referring to the last 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of this going on.
Wow.
So, I mean, the internet's known for, the people who watch it online have heard this and seen this for weeks now. So
Mhm.
now what I'm interested in, he got voted out this week, thank goodness.
Good.
So he's going to the jury house. I want to see if he tells the people in the house what happened, or if he's just going to let it go until the next person gets there and goes, well, Kyle didn't say anything to you. Oh, interesting. Interesting, because he's all, oh, forgive me, I'll be a better person now. And then, we'll see what happens. It's
Yeah.
just, he's just one of these guys that doesn't hear. I don't think he's seriously a racist, but he just talks like one.
Yeah. Mm.
It's like people's parents, you know, they're they're not really racist because you know them well enough, but every once in a while they kind of slip into that where it sounds like they are more than, like, my dad would make a joke every once in a while, and I would go, well, Dad, you think that's funny? Maybe I'll go out and marry a black girl and we can have some mulatto grandchildren for you. And he'd laugh, you know so
God. Yeah.
but but he was in the military. He wasn't racist at all. But they slip out. They slip out every once in a while. And anyway, so that was an interesting episode on RuPaul's Celebrity Drag Race this week. The person that got let go, I it was so weird because I felt like I knew this person from their hair, seeing the back of their head, because they would, before they got in makeup, you'd hear them talking, but from the back. And I'm like, I know that hair.
Mm.
And it ended up being Tina from Glee.
Oh,
Tina Tina Cohen Chang.
yeah. I
So,
know. I was just wondering the other day what happened to her.
and I'll tell you, she is so gorgeous now. Because
Yeah.
they kind of gave her that,
Frumpy. Yeah.
well, that I hate using it, but that anime kind of, the way they dressed her, the way they, did her hair, the way it was just, it was kind of stereotyping at that point. And now she is just gorgeous. and I'm surprised I recognized her because when they showed her again at like I want to say a mugshot, her resume shot.
Mm.
Oh my God, she was just amazing, amazing how
Mm.
pretty she is now, and different. She looks different than she did, and I think it's just she grew into her look.
Uh,
So anyway, that was fun. Let's see, on The Bachelorette, they did the hometowns, and you saw those, right?
yes, yes. Hmm.
Okay, so in the hometowns, the ones that stood out was when Tyler's from Jersey Shore. He doesn't talk like Jersey Shore, not like the folks from the TV show, but he's from the Jersey Shore. He grew up working the boardwalk, knows all the people on the boardwalk. You can see his house from the boardwalk. And so he took Rachel down there. It was, they has fun playing the games. It was like a Tuesday in March, so it was not busy and it was overcast. So they had the whole place really to themselves. He went by and introduced him to people's parents who ran this restaurant and that he's worked at in the past, and games he used to work at here. And it was just this really, I thought, sweet kind of afternoon. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I don't want to go to his house.
Yeah,
And I don't know what happened to get her so off of him, because he's adorable. And I thought what he showed was just how he was not a celebrity amongst the people on the boardwalk. He was one of the people of the boardwalk, and he wanted to share that with her. And I thought, this is really I would love to have had a date like that.
I
And,
know. I
and then
think,
she
yeah,
just ripped it out.
yep.
And
She did too. She just went.
oh, terrible. And then and then the next thing was she goes over to Timo's parents, who
Fuck
basically were like putting her over a
you.
grill.
Yeah.
She had put her feet to the fire. Oh, so you come here and you're telling us one thing, and you tell our son one thing, and then you got what, three other guys that you're dating? What are you telling their parents?
Yeah.
And I really expected tears. She held up really well considering,
She
but
did, but I mean, they were extra. They were
they
extra
were.
hardcore. Kind of. I don't want to say assholes, but at the same time, I don't know. It's hard to draw the line in a way that I mean, you are just kind of like, are you sure this is even fucking real? And we watched your first season, and you were a big hoe. I mean, that's the way it came across.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, but I just thought, wow, you guys are just assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're coming off as being protective of your son, but really it's no wonder your son has issues.
Okay. And then Gabby goes on a date to Eric's house, and Eric's dad has cancer, stage 4
Oh,
cancer. Now, why is he on the show? Number one,
sympathy.
but they don't. Why? I mean,
It
what's
makes a good story. It makes a good story. They'll do whatever they need to
I
make this
I know, but
heartwarming.
you know what? Why would Eric's family put his dad through that? And why would the show? I can understand the show, good drama,
Yeah,
and Gabby's a nurse, so she could talk,
she's an
about the
ER nurse, so
situation.
yeah. No, but I mean, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying, but I also know that's just how TV works. I mean, they're like, oh, your dad who's about ready to keel over from cancer, and he did.
Yeah, because they
It,
dedicate the episode to him.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, but yeah, if the dad's at all like, yeah, I think I would be up to it. The producers are gonna be like, fuck yeah.
And so the second episode they had, oh, by the way, this next week there's 2 nights of it. So we're gonna have a Monday and well, last night and tonight. So be watching those this week on Hulu. Um,
Oh, they're on Hulu. I've been watching them on
Girl,
ABC.
you're on Hulu with no commercials.
Well, the other doesn't do commercials either.
Okay.
if you know how
Let's
to
see.
block them.
And so with the men tell all, I just thought, I really kind of hate the men tell all because it's just, it's better than the one with the women because the women get really bitchy at each other,
Hmm.
and the men don't get to be too much assholes to each other, but it has its moments. I love the guy who re-dyed his hair blonde. That was the magician. Um,
Yeah.
he was the first person to leave on the first night, and it was like he's giving advice to everybody, and they're like, "Hey, look, when you stay for more than 4 hours on the show,
Uh-huh.
you can come give us some advice here." Um, and I thought that was really funny because I wouldn't have even let him in the house.
Yeah,
You
he was I I didn't even remember him at first, and I was still like, dude, shut up.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then of course then the weird thing was that they had your special guest on your picture came on to talk about
Right.
his new movie Bros.
Billy Eichner and Luke something or other.
And the two things that I thought was funny was he goes, well, this isn't my first time on the show. I was on the show when Colton was on. And at one point I asked Colton, are you sure you're not gay? And then of course he turned out to be gay. So whoops. And then when he had Meatball pour
Spaghetti
a
sauce.
gallon of spaghetti sauce over the top of his head,
Uh,
and then they wrestled. That was fun.
what I thought was kind of cool was, well, I don't know, but cool, but interesting was to see how many of the guys that were there reacted like laughing and funny and applauding and kind of down with it, and how many of them, like as soon as it was the bros, like the gay romance thing, like kind of clenched up.
See, I didn't notice it.
Notice, yeah, I was watching for that, and there were a couple of them that just were like all of a sudden machoed out,
Yeah,
but most of them were pretty cool.
yeah. So let's see. This week on High School Musical, the musical, the series, season 3, summer camp, episode 4, the real campers of Shallow Lake. Well, what's happened is, as you know, the campers are there to do the musical Frozen. And
Mhm.
what they're doing is they're Disney Plus. They love promoting themselves. Disney Plus is going to film them doing the show as a reality show, and then ultimately showing the other people in the United States that you too can do Frozen in your high school or junior high school. Because I saw what did I see? I saw High School Musical, the musical,
Mhm.
at high school, and it was really fun. But they're condensed versions of them.
Oh,
They're not full length. They usually run about 90 minutes, and I don't think they even had an intermission for High School Musical, the musical.
huh.
So these things really do exist, and but what the kids find out is that they're too damn talented and they all get along because it is a reality show. And as you said about The Bachelor, the
Yeah.
producers like a little drama to keep the fun going on. So
Yep.
so the kids all teamed up, took a character that you would see on a reality show, and they all became the character. And at the end, the one of the, I guess he's the cameraman, goes, "Oh yeah, you guys did really well, really well." So
Yeah.
it's kind of a fun little twist there. On Alone, we finished season 5, and this is where they took them up to
Antarctica.
Antarctic,
Oh,
so
okay.
which is up in northern Canada.
Hmm.
So they're on this lake, and there's um, all sorts of what's the one from X-Men. Ooh, I've got the knives for the fingers. He's
Wolverine.
Wolverine. They've got real Wolverines, scary
Oh,
looking things. They had they have bears. They have a lot of squirrels and rabbits that got eaten. But
like
one guy actually gets a Wolverine and he kills a moose and
Oh,
and
can
and
you kill me up there?
cuts it all up, and
Oh,
it was really something. He ended up winning, but he only ended up winning because it's like he couldn't do any. He kept doing all these wrong things,
mm,
but then it's like, oh, the Wolverine got in and took some of my moose meat and ate all my moose fat that I was saving because you need fat in your diet. Otherwise, bad things happen. So tell when people say you don't want fat, you do need fat in your diet.
yeah.
So anyway, so he's like, oh, the Wolverine stealing my food. So he catches the Wolverine and kills it, but it doesn't have enough fat. So then he's like, okay, so I've killed the Wolverine and I've killed the moose and I'm starving because I don't have enough of these other elements that I need.
Mm.
Maybe I'll go down and I'll try fishing. So he goes down and he fucking catches a fish, like 3 feet long, and
Jeez.
it's half the other cast members are like starving and they're eating moss. I usually wipe my ass with this, but it's also really good for me. I get like minerals and
Gosh.
vitamin C from it, and he just couldn't lose, and he
Uh,
didn't. So that was fun. Now what they've done, and I like this twist on season 6. All this is available, by the way, on Hulu. On
I thought it was
season
Netflix.
6, well, Netflix has season 8,
Oh,
and
okay.
there's season 8 on another place. And I can't remember which one it is. Somebody else has it as well, but
Huh.
Netflix has all 8 seasons.
Okay.
I mean, Hulu has all 8 seasons. Anyway, so on the 6th season, what they've done is they have said, okay, we're bumping it from $500,000 to $1 million, but it's to the person who can stay 100 days. And what
Wow.
happens is when these people are sitting there, they're like going, well, the last guy, left at 63 days. So, if I can make it 2 months, okay, that's fine. But what happens is when they get to day 64, then they all like, well, I didn't win yet. What's going on? 65 days come. Well, now I don't know how long is this going to go. Oh my God, I'm starving. 68 days come. I miss my family. I miss being warm. Now they got 100 days. That's their ceiling. Now you don't have to worry about who's going to drop. Everybody else can drop, but you still need to get to 100 days. And so everyone's now approaching it differently because
Yeah.
let's say for instance something happened and you're on a deserted island, you're and no boats come by, no one knows you're there. You're going to do your best to try to live. You're going to
Right.
try. You're not going to put a little effort into it because, oh, someone's going to find me.
Mm.
And that's the thing. These guys know 100 days. And if when they think it's only going to be 50 days or 60 days, then they plan for that. And after that is when they all break and fall apart. It's really fun. It's really psychologically fun to watch. And I know that sounds terrible, but it is. Um, Finished Lock and Key. I think, did we talk about that last week?
Uh,
I don't think we did.
yeah.
Finished it. I was really happy with the ending. I
Yeah.
even like the little maybe at the end, but I know that two of the main actors are not coming back because they have major film careers now. So why
Oh,
would they? I mean, because the sister was in Coda, so she's
right.
she's movie star now,
And I
and
didn't even
and,
recognize it.
and the brother is also doing a lot. So they don't need
Yeah.
to they don't need to come back.
And he came out, I believe.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
And the uncle is gay in real life, I believe, too.
You mean the twin?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Uh, I always doubt myself after I say something like that, but I looked it up. I'm pretty sure he is, but I don't go look it up yourself if you want to know for sure.
Speaking of gay, have you noticed that the people working on Bro, how many of people are openly gay?
Yeah, I love
The
it.
preview, it's
I
just like,
love it.
oh my God, what did they just do? We're only hiring gay actors. Fuck all you straight people. Um,
That's the way
since
things
they,
work
since
these
they've
days.
been doing that for 100 years in Hollywood to gay
Yeah,
people.
they're just closeted. Yeah.
Let's see, House of Dragons. Saw episode 3 last night. I'm really getting into it now. I'm
Good.
really getting into it. It's um at least something, it had a really good episode last night, the number 3. 2 finished strong. So
Hmm.
as long as they, as long, because I just remember that first season of Game of Thrones where I was just waiting for something to happen,
Yep.
and it was the last episode of the season.
Yeah. And in fact, another friend of mine, has just texted me last night saying that he is just starting to watch the original Game of Thrones for the first time. And I said, okay. And I'm just like, stick with it a few episodes. And then he said by the time he finished the third episode, he's starting to get into it. So
I
I,
started Lord of the Rings.
yes, I've only seen episode one so
I've
far.
only seen episode 1 as well. And it's funny because episode 1 basically was telling you everything that happened to get to episode 2, which is where we're really starting the show.
Uh,
And I was okay with that.
yeah.
Um, it's interesting though. I was watching a news program where they were saying that a lot of, let's say, confused white people were upset that one of the kings in the House of Dragons, is black. And how in the world
What?
could that be true? Yeah, oh my God. And then also that in Lord of the Rings, that there's a black queen. Okay. And their argument is that didn't happen. There were never black kings and queens. And so it's unreal. You're changing history.
Oh
And
my
and and
God.
people are going, those are fantasy films, by the way. These are
Yeah.
these are made up stories, and they can put whoever they want into their made up land, but the interesting thing is, yet every year they talk about how the 3 kings came to baby Jesus, and one of them's black as night. So I guess there were
Well,
kings.
people still think Jesus was white and looked like Michelangelo's lover. I
Right.
mean,
Well,
people are they don't have reasoning, and we're just taught the same shit from the churches and the schools and everything over and over. I mean, frankly, I would not be surprised if in another 100 years the Lord of the Rings elven thing is our actual history.
yeah. Well, you
I
never know.
just That's so stupid.
Let's see. But I'm enjoying both shows. Let's see. Oh, there's a stand-up show on Netflix. It's Joel Kim Booster,
Oh,
and he was the star of the not Key West. It was Fire Island. Those are
oh,
the
yes.
2 gay places. He was the star of Fire Island with Bo and Yang, and
Mm.
he's been doing a lot of work lately. So he's got a stand-up. Um, I thought I thought there was, like, it was kind of uncomfortable. For me, it was uncomfortable.
Mm.
He went out of his way to make straight people in the audience feel uncomfortable, for humor's sake, which,
Okay.
uh, we're trying to appeal to, straight people with your humor. Don't, make fun of them at the same time. It's
But it's so easy.
I know,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
he wasn't doing it very well, because I've seen it done much better.
Yeah.
You put Nathan Lane out, and he can make straight people feel really stupid,
Mm.
and without making, like being a bitch to them.
Mm.
So it can be done, and I've seen it done. I've seen it done well. But I mean, there's even points where he's looking at the camera going, "We'll take this out in post," because the audience isn't laughing, um and I think he did way too long of it was over an hour, and I don't know, some of it was really really good, and then a lot of it was awkward. Let's just say awkward. And then finally I saw Jurassic Park World
Oh,
Domination,
yeah.
which is right now available on the
Peacock.
Peacock Network. And if you have Peacock without commercials, they'll show 4 or 5 commercials at the beginning and then no commercial break at all during
Mm.
the show. So you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, we're about ready to get eaten. And now a word from, Olive. No, no. It's clean through. Now, did you like the show?
I did, but I liked it as one of those action movies where you just kind of turn off your science
Oh,
brain,
yeah.
just watch the show.
But that's what Jurassic Park movies
Yeah,
are.
and with that, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure it's one that I'll probably go watch again, but I had a good time.
And I liked that it had a real positive ending.
Hmm.
And the cast was really fun, and
It was
they
great to
used
see them.
they used 4 of the original people from the original Jurassic Park,
Hmm.
and then the rest of the characters were filled in with either some new ones, but mostly people from this last Jurassic World, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked really well. I had a good time with it. I saw that it was at like 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like
Yeah.
critics need to fucking pull their heads out of their asses.
Right.
You can't have a good time anymore because look, okay, you can find flaws all through the movie. I understand that, but on Rotten Tomatoes, it's rotten if you give it 5, 1 to 5 out
Mm.
of a 10 score. And now there's no way that drops down to a 5. No way. And to me, it just sounds like they're being assholes.
Yeah. I mean, Jurassic World set the bar high because it was really good. It was really fun, and uh, I don't know, but I agree with what you said. I just I don't understand critics these days.
Yeah. And then finally, one other thing, the Emmy nominations have just come, the Emmy winners. What they do is they have so many Emmy awards that they hand out that they do them in blocks of
Hmm.
nights. So the first night, RuPaul picked up the best host of for a reality game show or whatever, however they word it,
Hmm.
picked up the host for that for the 7th time.
Okay.
And that puts him at, I think it's 13 or 14 Emmys, and making him the most Emmyed person of color,
Yes.
which is terrific.
Yes.
And then speaking of Nathan Lane, who received his 7th nomination for guest starring on a comedy, he finally won his trophy for Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, wow. Well,
And
good.
the thing is, you go back and you look, he's got a couple nominations for Modern Family. It's like he's been in shit for years, keeps getting nominated, keeps losing. And this year he goes, "Oh, people, can you just give me the award so I can stop carrying this? Oh, look, I'm the Susan Lucci of guest starring roles. This is not a title I want." And they gave it to him. So good
Nice.
for him.
Very
And other than that, I want the heat to stop,
good. Uh-huh.
and so I can get my life back together because I don't want to leave the house when it's 113.
Right.
So,
Yep.
how was your week?
Well, first, before we
Oh
uh,
no.
do that, I want to clear up when we were talking about the Arctic and Antarctic. The Arctic is the North Pole, so that's where they were.
Yes,
Okay. And then the Antarctic, which I said last week when we talked about that
that's the
I have a
south.
relative at
Yeah.
that's down there, so different places. Okay.
Wait,
Uh,
do you really have a relative in the Antarctic?
I have a relative who went down in a plane crash there and survived for several weeks, and they have a mountain named after him there.
Ah,
So anyway, but
is this a real one or is this one that you found through
no,
that?
this is a real admiral. He was a rear admiral, a
Okay.
real bigwig, and he was like really big in World War II with like flying the ships and the well, you
Now,
don't fly
is
ships, but
this what you found out through a app or
a lot of
something?
family research actually. There's another
Okay.
one of my family members who is doing a lot of stuff out there. And then also we looked him up through Family Search, which if anybody's interested in your family genealogy and stuff like that, Family Search is better than Ancestry.com. So go check that out. Anyway, my week was pretty good for the most part. Some highs and lows. Since we started out talking about since you already talked about the Bachelorette, I will say that my additions to that were that Zach and Jason were probably my favorites on of the men's, and that my runners up were Tyler and Ethan. And so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I know Tyler and Ethan are already out, so if they are buying interested, here I am. Anyway, and then what else was I gonna say? I was gonna say, I think Ethan though, for anyone that doesn't know the names, Ethan was the Asian guy, um, and I think he was really overlooked, and I think it was sad because he was so easygoing and thoughtful and respectful and smart, and he wasn't like vying to be the alpha or all machismo or anything. He was like just really like the kind of guy that would be fun to date. And anyway, he was just a really nice guy.
I was surprised he stayed as long as he did because he was so quiet.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how quiet was it? Was he, or did the show just edit it that way?
Yeah, I
Was
know.
he more, So anyway, okay, and then I of course I'm watching season 28 now of The Amazing Race. I just started it, and it's the one that has all the YouTube stars, influencers on it back when they were like really popular, but now I'm like looking at them going, hey, I think I remember one of them. Um, so Amazing Race is Amazing Race. It's fun. It's just easy to watch, in the background or whatever.
And it's lovely showing how ugly Americans we are.
And that's the thing is you can really tell the ones that are and you're like embarrassed by it, and then the ones that aren't and are actually really respectful, and you're like, why don't they have more of those people? Anyway, then I decided to watch Ben-Hur. Well, for anyone that doesn't know, as Tom so aptly put it in a text, why do you want to watch that? It takes almost all day. It is a 4+ hour movie, and it Charlton Heston and a bunch of the older great actors and actresses and everything. It's very dramatic and very Jesus centric and everything. But uh, I decided I just wanted to refresh my memory a bit, and boy, there were times when I was just like, okay, we're gonna fast forward 10 seconds, fast forward 10 seconds. Uh, it was fun to rewatch in a way that it far too over dramatic and took for fucking ever, but it was nice seeing guys and all shirtless and gladiatory. Anyway, um, what else was I going to say about that? It was also kind of amusing watching them, like Charlton Heston played a Jewish prince, and you're just watching all these people pretending to be slaves and going through hell and all the boating and then and you're just like, you damn well. I'm like, these are the whitest, most blue-eyed Jewish Middle Eastern people you've ever seen, and yet I think that's why our modern people, we saw that in growing up in Hollywood and just believed, oh well, I guess that's what they look like. I don't know. Anyway, it's ridiculous. I haven't gotten to House of Dragon yet. I mean the current episode. I thought the other two were fun, and like you said, the end of the second one was like, oh, okay, now I'm interested. What happens next? I do know that we will be losing a number of the actors within the next couple, within like episode four, because I don't think this is a spoiler alert. It's pretty much out there everywhere now that they're some of the characters are going to be, basically they're going to jump in time and they're going to be grown up. So like the young lead actress and stuff like that, they're leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, Rings of Power. Yeah, saw episode one and I liked it, and I'm looking forward to the rest. But this is a show that I have been requested to watch with Heather. So, like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I will always be at least 1 or 2 weeks behind watching it. So, yeah, maybe I'll try to get her a little earlier and like watch 2 episodes. Anyway, and then let's see. Got to go see Jaws in the theater. So that was interesting. Went in, and of course, I saw it, 100 years ago. I haven't seen it for well over a decade, I'm sure, or more. And we got in and we sat and we were watching Jaws, and I'm just like, oh, this is a very, very 70s movie. And it's a little slower paced and everything. But I'm like, there's nothing in it that's going to be scary. So whatever. There was like 15 people in the theater. Well, there is this one scene, and this is from the 70s. So spoilers if you need it. Uh, there's the one scene where Richard Dreyfuss goes down in a wetsuit and he's looking at this boat, and all of a sudden a severed, rotted head pops out. And it was the only thing in the entire movie, I think, that scared anyone. And both Clint and I jumped. And there was like, you just saw this ripple wave through the audience when that happened, like with people not expecting it. And that was the only thing that was scary. But it's kind of reminded me when we went and saw The Exorcist when they re-released it, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. We went and saw The Exorcist, and the only thing that was really scary in it was when the phone rang like super fucking loud, and everybody in the theater jumped and then like breathed a sigh of relief and laughed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is that some movies are scary for that don't need the jump scares.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because like I've watched an awful lot of scaries on YouTube, and sometimes, like one time, it's like, okay, this is so fake, and I
Uh,
know it's fake, but I got chills so
yeah.
bad, even though because when they advertise the individual videos, they'll sometimes use a picture from one of the videos in the video.
Mm,
This was there, so I know that the scary girl runs out of a closet at the girl that's sitting there.
yeah.
And yet when I saw it, I was I was tingling so bad. I recently had a sciatica. I
Yeah.
could feel it in my sciatica.
Oh,
I got it was almost like the it rippled through the pain through my nerves. It
mm,
was, and I knew it was going to happen.
yeah.
And because when the kid's getting eaten on the raft, and when the shark first comes up and he goes, "We're going to need a bigger boat."
Uh,
Uh, all scary scenes, but in a different way.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Um, that reminds me, the last time before this that I got one of those like actually jerk back kind of scares was during the Orville. Remember the scene where she takes the girl who just wants to bring the technology back to her planet, and
Right,
she takes it into the simulator and shows them the planet that was decimated by
right.
that, and all of a sudden, like out of the side of the screen, Screech, there's just like a screeched monster that runs past. That's like, oh, that person was an inhabitant of the planet that was destroyed by blah blah blah, and I like watching it sitting 3 feet or so from my monitor, and all of a sudden that happens, and I'm wearing my headphones, and they have that high pitched scream. I did. It made me jerk back from the screen very quickly. So, uh, anyway, fun stuff. Other than that, let's see. Oh, actually, are you going to go to the theater and see Bros?
Probably.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, and we're probably going to do that too, just to make sure that they have the numbers, because we really need to support this. So anybody that does do theater time, you should go support this.
Now, it's funny because I remember when Birdcage came out. I
Mhm.
saw it on the opening Saturday, and I think I went to. I don't think it was a matinee. I think it was the second show, and I sat in the second row. It was so packed,
Yeah.
and so, but that was one of those because I mean, it was Robin Williams.
Mhm.
Nathan Lane wasn't anyone at that point. It was a Robin Williams show and Gene Hackman,
Mhm.
so and it was, but this is now gay romance. So,
Yeah.
but we don't as a community we didn't support Will and Grace. We don't support much of what comes out. I really didn't like it. I thought it was trivial. Oh, Cam and Mitchell are just stereotypes. I don't know anybody like that. And then they don't watch shows because of it. And we've got to get over this because all the other communities go out and support their shit.
All right. I mean, I'll tell you,
Get more.
when we saw Black Panther, that audience was mostly black. And you
Right.
know what? Because they showed up for their show, and it damn well deserved it, because that was a fucking awesome movie.
Well, it's besides it being awesome or not, they showed up to see the audience came to see a black superhero,
Exactly.
and good for them.
And
Good for
yet,
them doing it.
if they had a gay superhero movie, would we show up and support it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, let's try it. Oh, I don't like
they're
that
just
kind
they're
of.
just
Whatever.
pandering to the gay community.
I'm so used to being oppressed. I don't need to celebrate myself.
Right.
Yeah. So go see Bros, and hopefully, I mean, it looks like it's going to be really good.
Go
So
see Bros and then come home and watch Hocus Pocus 2 on Disney Plus.
yes. But what's the other Disney one that just came out?
Well, Pinocchio's out this.
That's the one. I don't know if I want to watch it. I Pinocchio is not one of my favorite stories.
Tom Hanks is Geppetto.
Well, okay. Yeah, I think maybe you sold me. I do love Tom Hanks.
And usually he doesn't tie himself to bad things. So
Yeah, that's true. He could tie himself to me. Well, anyway, moving on. And then we had the last official pool party of the season yesterday. So we all marinated ourselves. Actually, it was very nice in the pool, and it didn't feel that it was 114 degrees out. So there was that. But believe me, when you got out of the pool, especially if you stood in the sun, there was nothing like watching the dogs walk over from the other house, and they're just sauntering, and they're just doing their little walk, and all of a sudden they start walking across the sunlit cement, and they start running really, really quickly.
yeah, it's
So you wanted those treats.
well, just coming back from Palm Springs last week, this is what the weather was like down there all the time as well. And it worries me because um we're having heat that we never have had before.
Right.
And believe me, this is I think it's they're going to have 8 or 9 days of consistent over 100-degree days with uh, many nights not getting down into the 70s. And what this does I mean, what does it do to the crops?
Yeah, exactly.
They when we were heading down um, to Palm Springs, we did notice that they had started doing a lot of picking of the grapes
Mm.
down through the Central Valley, and so that started it. And they had started it, so hopefully they got a lot done, because this kind of heat will turn those bitches into raisins
It's real quick.
so
Yeah.
fast. I mean, they're used to, Central Valley is used to having hot anyway, but this is different kind of hot. This is the kind of hot where it doesn't cool off at night. It just stays hot all the time, drains all your energy.
Yeah.
People don't want to go outside. It's just it's a bad heat, and I'm just worried that we're going to see more of this. We're going to have more days over 100 this year than any other year, at least in Sacramento. And then, while this is happening here, we've got floods in, places like Rhode Island and Pakistan and India, where they don't have these kind of rains at this time of year at all, some of them at all. So I don't know. I don't know. It worries me, but thank God I'm old enough that I probably won't see the worst of it.
Well, yeah. All right. We want to remind you to be loud, be proud, be too much, and to be you. Fat Marker Clothing wants those of us who have been told that we are too much of something to turn those negatives into positives. And you can do this by using the code FMWildChub to get 20% off anything while ordering over at fatmarkerclothing.com. And congratulations to Julian for being on one of the covers that was chosen to be one of the Bear World magazine. I forget which one, but one of the top covers of last year. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's find out what's going on in advice world with some Dear Prudie. Slate.com. Go check them out. My good friend Mary set me up with her brother Jim in January when he moved in with her from out of state. We've been dating ever since. While Mary was happy for us, she was sad not to have a partner herself. So when Jim told me in March that he was going to have to prioritize her feelings because she was having a hard time, I understood. By that time we were a pod of three, and being a third wheel can be really rough. Initially, their close sibling friendship seemed nice, but then Mary got possessive. She told me privately that they had fulfilled the emotional role of romantic partners for each other for years. So she said that she saw me as the other woman. At one point, Mary asked Jim to stop texting me in the evenings so he could be more present when he was with her. Jim agreed that her behavior was unreasonable, but said he didn't want to change too much because Mary was struggling emotionally. Mary is in therapy and told me recently that we both needed to stop making Jim responsible for our feelings. But I don't think I have. I felt hurt and unsupported in the spring. I want to be compassionate toward Mary, but I suspect she and my boyfriend are codependent, and I want that to stop. What should I do? Or am I being selfish and need to work through this being empathetic toward my friend who is lonely and her brother who is trying to support her? Okay, here's my advice, girl. I have been on every single parts of that relationship, all three of them. Run. Just drop everything, ghost them, and run for your life. You are going to have no happiness in this. Go find someone else. That is my advice. Oh, here we go. Tom actually disagrees with me.
Well, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I have seen it go terribly wrong. But I've also seen it where, I mean, siblings are weird sometimes, and
that's true.
And they do, they do have a separation. And honestly, not texting while you're with somebody else is not being rude. It's like, you know what? I understand, like my brother, if my brother's not texting it's if he's texting me, it's because he's bored, and it's 9:30 at night, so he's bored and by himself, and I don't want him to be sad, so I'll text him a few times. But at the same time, I'm also, while I'm doing that, I'm not paying attention to the television or the show that Sean and I are watching, and I get that. I get that as well. But when it starts to interfere with intimacy,
Uh-huh.
is when there's a problem.
Uh-huh.
So
Sounds
it's
like
just
that might be where it's going.
where it's going, but we'll see. We'll see. Wait. Let's get the professional view on this. Go ahead.
You already got my view.
No.
All right. Well, let's see what Dear Prudie had to say. She'll probably agree with you because, you're you. I'm not getting any hints of selfishness on your part from this letter. If anything, it strikes me as rather odd and self-defeating that Mary would go through the trouble of setting one of her good friends up with her brother and then turn around and complain when the relationship worked out. To be frank, if someone I'd been dating for less than a year had a live-in sibling who told me they viewed me as the romantic rival, I certainly can't think of a platonic example of the other woman. I'd run for the hills. If that sibling then went on to ask my boyfriend not to text me at night so they could focus on being present for one another, I'd run for I'd run for further higher hills. Compassion simply doesn't enter into it. Telling your brother not to text the person he's dating at night because you, his adult sister, need his full and undivided attention because you two have previously acted like boyfriend and girlfriend to each other is creepy, controlling, incestuous. Oh, she went there, and a deal breaker. Sure, my sister's taking this a little far, but she's having a really hard time, so it's probably for the best that I act like her boyfriend at night and your boyfriend during the day. And it is not a reasonable reaction on Jim's part. This is the first half of Crimson Peak. I haven't seen that.
I have.
And you need to get as far away from this relationship as you possibly can. So I guess she agrees with me. However, this is the Dear Prudie that usually I disagree with. So I'm hesitant with my
I mean,
response now.
it's just when this like husband and wife, brother sister thing, they're living together, he takes out the garbage. What do they consider it? It's not sexual. So it's more like it's two people living together. And let's face it, in this day and age, two people need to live. A lot of times people can't afford to live on their own.
Well, yeah, I don't see. I got from the letter
and you know what? Okay, let's put it this way. If let's say let's say you're at home and you're sitting and you're having a conversation with somebody and they're constantly going, oh, just a minute. It's rude. It's rude.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but the thing is he moved in with her within the last year,
right?
So okay, that's fine.
Well, he came from somewhere else.
Before that, for years they acted like one another's, partner, emotional partner, and I think that's the wording that may trip some people up. Is that if she said something like my what is it, romantic whatever, but the thing is it's not necessarily romance. I mean, look at us. I mean, with the relationships that we've had with our friends that acted more like emotional support, like more what a romantic partner should do without the romantic part,
right?
And even with our friends that were in relationships, and we were still more of a emotional support for them than their partners were. I mean, sometimes that bond is there and that's good, but when it becomes, I want all of your attention, that's not healthy for a romantic relationship that's still trying to get off the ground.
I know, but let's face it, if you're if you're off on a date with this person or you're over at her house,
Hmm.
and she's certainly not going to want to get texts from his sister, him texting his sister while he's with her boyfriend, or and so it works the same way. I don't know. This to me, this seems odd. I think it's the way and I know we got to take the writer for who
Uh-huh.
they are, but I think the writer's putting more into this than I believe. Maybe that's why it just doesn't feel that way. I don't think
Okay.
siblings, particularly, especially siblings, anybody that lives with a roommate that they've had for a long time.
Well, that's the thing too, is if it were a roommate doing this, eventually a roommate, you could be like, you need to move out or whatever. But a sibling's not going away. They're always going to be related. So you just have to either decide that you're going to put up with it
Okay,
until they find their own boyfriend, and then, or
okay, you and Clint, if Clint gets a boyfriend,
uh,
he's got to deal with you texting all the time and Clint texting you all the time.
uh-huh.
Okay, same thing.
Again, I have been in each of these
I
roles,
understand, and
so
that's what
I
I'm saying. I
understand.
mean, just using you as an example,
I
you are the sister.
you're trying to convince me of something I already told you.
I know, but you're the sister. So you're
Yes,
telling me
yes, I
that
am.
that Clint, well, not Clint, but whoever Clint dates should run because you're there and you're never leaving.
Well, yeah, kind of.
And what do? If you like the guy enough, you like you enough. And that's what what's what
But
relationships are
the
nowadays.
thing was is that
They're
it.
it's the same thing with mother-in-laws. You like the guy, then you better learn to like his mom.
Uh,
If he
yeah,
likes if he likes
exactly.
his mom, then you better like his mom.
And that's one of the things too, is that whatever Clint and me, our friendship, it didn't scare away. I mean, he got married. It didn't scare away anybody. It
Yeah,
just
not
continues.
till after he got
It
married.
just adjusts.
Right.
Oh,
But
I trust me,
no,
I
you
wasn't
know
the
what I'm
problem
saying
in
though.
that.
That's the thing. You just adjust. She doesn't want to adjust. She doesn't. I don't want to be in a relationship with you and your sister.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of who we are.
Well, whether it's the sister or whether it's her, one of them isn't mature enough to handle this relationship. And I still say she needs to find somebody else.
True. Then I agree with you on that part. Yeah, run because this relationship's not going to change for you.
Right.
Okay, then I'm with you. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That was a good
Glad
conversation.
we talked it out.
Okay. Hey Chubs, these come from Michael Sage. Hey Chubs, do you ever miss or regret not having kids, or do you feel you dodged a bullet on that topic?
You've asked me this before,
I
and
know, but this is from Michael, so
I get it. I get it. Never have I regretted not
never
having,
have I ever regretted
and
having.
I have never wanted children at
Mm.
all. And I was going to say of my own, I don't want anybody's kids.
Yeah, yeah.
I find it hard to deal with a dog
Mhm.
because they're so demanding. Can you imagine having a child?
Very needy. They're always
Yeah.
6 years old. Yeah.
And you know what the difference between a dog and a child is that you can leave the dog for 8 hours while you're off to work in the house alone. You can't do that with a child. It's constant care until the child moves out of your house, and then it's a constant drain of your capital.
Well, and they aren't screaming or crying or
Oh, the angst
wanting.
about being a teenager.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
look, mommy, my diaper's full. How am I supposed to live my life with a
Okay,
full
see, that
diaper?
actually is
Well,
one
you're
of the
16 years old. Change it yourself.
ah. See, that's one of the things that actually is one of the reasons that I didn't want kids. I mean, there are times, and I've said it before, there are times when there are little pangs of like, well, it would have been nice, I think, in some ways to have had kids, but I don't want to go through all the diaper shit and the drool and the why that stuff. I just don't think I would be a good dad for that stuff. Now,
Well,
get them a little older where they can reason and understand what shut up means, but I say it jokingly, but There are some times when I have a little bit of regret, but for the most part, no, I'm comfortable with it.
Well, see, I always hate it when people go, but don't you want to see what a little you would be like? And I'm like,
No, I saw what little me.
why would I want to see that? What
No,
okay, what they want to do is they want to see what they can produce.
yeah. Now, the only thing that I think one of the main regrets of it that I have is just that all the family like tradition and history and everything like that. Right now, there just is nobody stepping up with the mm, that quality to say, I am going to be the next librarian, gatekeeper, to this knowledge and these things.
It's
There's no
because
one doing
it,
that right now.
it's changed. The world
Yeah.
has changed. I mean, kids don't want the same thing that we wanted or our parents
Oh,
wanted.
yeah, but we didn't want any of that until we got older and suddenly sparked an interest and said, wait, where did we come from? Our ancestors are kind of interesting, actually.
See, I don't really find that interesting either.
Huh, that's cool.
But no, I'm not saying
Not
it's a bad
everybody's
thing.
going to, and that's okay, but
Yeah,
there
but
needs to be somebody
it's
to.
like most people. Oh God, see, I'm gonna make it sound like I'm picking on you, but most kids want to move out of the house as soon as they hit 18. They,
Mhm.
I want to get out of here. I'm going to get a job. I'm tired of listening to your shit. I want to have my own life. I want to be able to come in when I want to and do whatever I want. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Kids are like, why should I leave? I've got a bedroom all to myself.
I think
Um,
several generations have said that about their kids, but I also think it depends on the individual. But for me, it just wasn't an option.
no, I'm not saying this isn't about you, and that's why
Yeah,
I prefaced it wasn't
but
about
I
you.
mean, but you're right. But I
You're
think
also not a
also because of
millennial.
the economy and stuff like that that's going on. I'm not talking about just recently either. Talking about
Well, I am.
you need that support for longer now.
Well,
You can't just go out and I mean, a medium apartment right now, especially, is like $2,000. You're gonna have to have 6 or 7 people just to get an apartment.
especially
Why
if
would you move out of your parents' house
right,
when you're gonna have to go sit with 6 people instead of two that are just kind of nagging at you a little bit?
and you have your own bedroom.
That's true. Okay. Hey Chubs, what is the one place on the planet you haven't visited yet, but is for sure a place you want to experience before you buy the farm?
Um, I would like to go to France, to Paris.
Oh,
I've never seen Paris. I've seen most of Europe, but I have not. And you know what? I really don't care about. Um, I'm going to refer to it as the Orient, but the Asian countries I'm
yeah.
really interested in. They look hot and dirty, and if they're not dirty, they're hot. If they're, yeah, I
Wow.
mean, look at India, and looks just, ugh. And we're talking. I'm watching Amazing Race, and I'm that sitting there going, well, they stop complaining about it. You're on the fucking race, but would I go there? No, because it looks like it smells and it's hot and dirty. Did you ever watch oh the Paradise, the Hotel Erotica, Exotica, or whatever, Maggie Smith and all the old people, all the English people, they moved to
No.
India because it's like,
Oh,
uh,
I remember that, but no, I didn't see it.
yeah, it's like the money is so cheap. Their dollar is worth their 10 cents is worth a dollar. So they go and buy these apartments and they live, and the first thing they do is when they go, oh, it's dreadfully hot and dusty, and what does that smell? And I've been to European places, and some European places are just gross. And I don't, but Paris, I want to go, even though they say the people are stinky. I don't care.
A lot of stinkiness, apparently.
Well, I don't like stinky. When we lived
The
in
main
the Azores, when we lived in the Azores, the all the products that were made had a certain smell to them. Like your blanket had a certain smell to it because the way it was made, because you get everything from like either Portugal or Spain or the islands that were around us. So I remember we got a present from somebody that was still living there, sent to our house in California. We opened it up and went, wow, that smells just like lodges, which is the Azores. It's, oh my God,
Where
that
the
smell
woods
took me
are.
right back to it. And it was this kind of clammy, dirty, just, yeah, it wasn't a good smell. It wasn't a good smell. But that's, and I know that that's, some places are just that way, and I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the main reason I'm always skeptical about Paris is because if you're not in a hotel, the bathroom system, I can't squat over a hole. That's just not me. Um, but I don't know. For
I,
me, I think.
I had a friend who was a model, and she was in Milan,
Mhm,
Italy, and she went in. She goes, "Oh, where's the restrooms?" And they go, "Oh, they're over there." And she goes, "No, it's just a hole in the floor. Yeah,
mhm.
you're supposed to squat." And she's like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah. See that that would not be me.
Well, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I
So
physically could not do that."
no. Sweden and Norway are like two definite high ups. Um, there's some ancestry and stuff there that I kind of want to trace a little bit, but I just think they would be kind of fun places to go. But they're awfully their atmosphere is thinner, and I really want to go across that big bridge. You know which one I'm talking about? It's like basically across the ocean in Sweden. It's really really neat. Um, yeah. Other than that, I mean, I always thought that Paris was kind of overblown. Everybody always says Paris, but the more shows that I've been watching about it lately, I think I would like to go there too.
Well, the food intrigues me.
Yes, I would
Um,
love to go through a little shop and just nibble on all the.
yeah, I wouldn't mind going to the Louvre Museum.
Oh, that would be very cool. Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of walking, but there's a lot. I mean, some of the greatest things are at the Louvre. You
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
just kind of stuck with that, being that way.
Right.
Um, and uh, and just the general atmosphere seems so gay, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean that in the old term gay, where it's just people smoking cigarettes and eating, like baguettes and cheese and wine and
Painting by the
uh,
river, all the cliches, but they're true. Yeah.
well, yeah, I actually, when I was in Bern, Switzerland, we were a holdover on the train, so we had like 3 hours before the train came. So we went out, bought ourselves a chicken, a rotisserie chicken,
Uh,
a bottle of wine, and sat out on the Rhine
mm,
and ate our lunch. And we had a baguette, and it was wonderful. And it didn't even bother us that the people off to the side of us were injecting heroin at the same time, because we're on the Rhine, and it's
yeah.
beautiful, it's
Mm,
wonderful.
yeah.
But it was a real moment.
Yeah.
And just those kind of things. It's like you'd feel the same way about England.
Mhm.
England's, the thing is that most of these places are just cities, right?
Yeah.
You go to New York, and it's really just a toilet with tall buildings.
And
Um,
yet to somebody from Europe, it's like magic. And
well, to a young boy from Sacramento, it was magic too.
oh,
Because you have, Tiffany's, and you've got Central Park, and everything you've seen in movies, and here's Broadway and Times Square, and it's amazing. It's amazing, but at the same time, it's somebody's resident. you know I love it when people in Hawaii go, I love living in Hawaii, because I wake up in paradise, but after 2 or 3 months I wake up in Hawaii.
yeah, it's just your home. By the way, did you know that Hawaii is the fifth most uh what's the exact word I'm thinking of?
Expensive.
No, incarcerated place in the world. Like the biggest amount of people in prison in the world is in Hawaii.
That's per capita.
I'm
Yeah.
not so sure
Yeah.
about
It's
that.
per capita.
Well, we'd have to look that up. But I just went to a seminar with somebody that actually has a clinic and works over there and everything. And that's one of the things that they distribute. Like they have fought to get PrEP and different treatments, just HIV treatments, into the prisons there. And she said that that is even if you took Hawaii away from like the United States, they would still be one of the top five in the world incarcerated states or places. So interesting little thing. Anyway, oh, and I'd like to kind of go to Japan. I think I'd like to go to Japan, but any place that has like Australia, which had like snakes and shit like that and big spiders, no, thank you. Not interested.
Well, and what do you want to see in this is what I always say to
In
Sean.
Japan,
What do you want to see in Australia? What is there to see?
Australian men,
And he says, well, they have
Archie Coons
that building off of the water, and I go the Opera House,
Opera
okay.
House, yeah.
And what else? And why do you want to go there?
Priscilla
Uh,
Queen the Desert.
yeah, no one has any idea. Um, I'm sure the people are great, and
Oh
some of the food,
yes,
some of the food is edible, but otherwise they have spiders the size of catcher mitts,
mhm,
and that's not out of the ordinary.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't understand. And that whole center section where Priscilla crossed the desert,
yeah,
why?
yeah.
Uh,
I still feel bad though for all the fires that they had down there.
oh yeah.
Oh fuck, they were devastated by those fires down there.
Well, what was devastating is because a lot of their country is desert, and that didn't have fires. So the areas that did are all those beautiful, lush areas on the lower, I guess it's the eastern and southern, and actually up the northwestern side, because the deserts are kind of smacked in the middle.
Hmm.
And granted, the deserts did have some fires, but there's not a lot to burn. So it's just, and it's where those poor little koala bears got their
Ah,
toes burned.
yes. I mean, they had entire species that almost went extinct because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, what's in your lunchbox? Oh wait, hold on. Before I get to that, hey Tom, take a guess.
Yes.
How many newspapers are printed daily across the U.S.?
Um, 100 million.
1,260.
Million.
No, 1,260 daily newspapers.
Oh, I thought you meant printed.
Oh, like yeah, no. How many like individual newspaper
Yeah. So dailies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's we've seen what
Mhm.
happened to, I mean, look, Sacramento has one newspaper, one daily newspaper. San Francisco, I think they only have one now, don't they?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so.
You know, and
Mm.
I mean, granted, there's a lot of little weekly newspapers or bi-monthly newspapers, but or even monthly newspapers, but daily,
Yeah.
it, I mean, you almost have to go to online to get news anymore.
Yes, you do. Across the U.S. United States, there are 1,260 newspapers in 2020. Because remember that any serious data that you find is going to be at least 2 years ago.
Right.
1.5% decrease from 2018. Looking at historical data 488 daily newspapers have disappeared over the last half century. This marks a 28% drop in the total number of US dailies over 50 years. So it is a dying industry.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, what's in your lunchbox? Mr. Mike wrote in and said, hi. And I made some chicken vegetable soup. And there it is in a beautiful bowl.
I know. See the oil on the top?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
That means he made that from scratch, baby.
That
He
means
boiled that chicken.
flavor.
Mm.
I always like it when they go, "Oh, look, it's such a clear, lovely soup." And I go, "Okay, so it's been strained of its oil and all its
Yeah.
little floaties, the all the good
Right.
vegetables and spices that you throw in there.
That's
Oh,
usually,
you cleared all that out. You have
yeah.
a clear liquid. Well, I don't want that."
Yeah, that's usually when they say, and this is perfect for people with diabetes. Um, all right, thank you, Mr. Mike, for sending that in. And then Mr. Moose P wrote in and said, picked up a chicken bacon ranch sandwich, and salad from Domino's. Not bad. Huh. That's interesting. And I guess that's a picture of the salad, which is quite
Yeah.
yummy looking. Then we have, oof, what's this? Really tough day, gym training day, but was strong as fuck. Yes, he was. Refuel with a mountain of food, fish, mac and cheese, shoe peg corn. I don't think I've heard of that. Slaw and sliced tomato. Wow.
That's 2 orders of mac, 2 orders of
Uh-huh.
coleslaw, thing of chicken, thing of tomatoes, and some amazing looking. I don't care if that's chicken or fish. I eat it right now.
That's beautiful.
Oh, and I just hope that it's really moist inside,
Ooh.
because I'm when you look at it
Hmm.
when it's this beautifully fried, sometimes things tend to dry up a little bit,
It
but
it's
I
always moist inside around moves.
you're just a stupid.
Hubby bought a really tasty apple pie at the market today. Warmed it up in the microwave, and there is a slice of that beautiful pie. You know, I
I
had
think
go ahead.
and I think that's a placemat, not a plate, because
Hmm.
I would love to have a plate that had that kind of a just the ridges across it like that. It looks beautiful, but it looks kind of square across the top. So I'm thinking it's just a placement, but that's
I
beautiful pie.
think that these are actually two different patterns if you blow the photo up. So I think it's on a green placemat that almost matches the plate. So I
Okay.
think you can find the plate with those ridges.
I like that. That's really I like this use of colors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that is beautiful piece. I think I had a piece of apple pie recently that I didn't dislike. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't eat pie. Except for key lime. Key lime.
Oh, I was actually asked the difference, and I had to look it up to be sure, but was asked the difference by Nephi, uh, what the difference between a peach pie and a peach cobbler were. Do you know? I looked it up, so
A cobbler does not have a bottom crust.
mhm.
Otherwise, no.
Yeah,
Other than that,
it's basically with a cobbler, like you said, there's no crust like that, and the bread part and and the other part are just cooked together in a pan,
yeah.
and it's very easy. To whereas a pie, you make everything and have the crust. So that's the only real difference.
Yeah, and the thing is when you have the bottom crust, you can kind of you contain everything differently and you serve it differently. Where
Hmm.
with this you would use a knife or a pie server. With a cobbler, you get a big old spoon.
Mm.
Now I'm wondering if it's different if you have a with a cobbler, because cobbler is usually just a crust. But I'm wondering if you use like what is that one with where you put the droplet? It's like crumbles across.
Oh,
Those are always really good because you can. It can be with nuts in it. It can be with
mm,
bits of chocolates in it or something. But it's all mixed together in a crumble. I guess it's called a crumble.
yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, that sounds really,
that'd probably be a
really
peach
good.
crumble.
Yeah.
But I do like that with peaches, especially because I like uh the the insides, the
Yeah.
gel, kind
Yeah.
of whatever you want to refer to it as, the sweet, juicy,
Mm.
moist part. I know you
Oh,
like
is
it.
Moose here? Oh, um, I am when it comes to fruit pies and stuff like that, I like the taste of them, but the fruit needs to be cut like diced.
Oh, really?
Because if it's just a great big ass slice of apple, I don't like it. I just maybe it's a textural thing because it'll taste fine, but I just don't enjoy a big slimy piece of fruit in
And
the
the
pie.
other thing I like more about a peach than an apple pie is
Mm,
apples are usually sliced super thin,
mm,
and then they're just plopped on top of each other.
no.
Where the peaches are usually in a
Yeah.
wedge style, and so yeah, then and it's just you're right. It's a different texture. I could see that, but I think it'd be messy. You'd really have to make sure it's your what do you call it? Syrup inside, whatever the
Yeah.
juice part needs to be much more firm when you cut it up that much. Otherwise, you cut it and it's just going to spill out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
And we can start calling it the moose juice. But yeah. Do you like fruit cocktail, like from the can?
You asked me when I was 10, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I would need it now.
Yeah. I kind of the same. Yeah, I haven't eaten canned fruit in a long time.
Although I do like canned pears and peaches.
Pears, I could go for that. Peaches, if there's nothing else, and I just really need something sweet, and there's nothing else, I do that. But I like fresh peaches. Anyway, all right. Hey, send us an email at chubsgonewild@gmail.com. Like us or leave us a comment at chubsgonewild.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/chubsgonewild. And that's also where you can go over and pick. Uh, I can do this. And see all the pictures of the food that Moose and Mr. Mike 1972 sent in.
Yeah, I saw that fish and thing today, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
why did I look at that before the show? Now I'm so hungry.
I have been jonesing for either Popeyes, Long John Silver's only because it's cheap. Well, comparatively, or pizza. Like, I don't know why, but every day it just rotates through my mind. And then I'm like, nope, I'm not spending $30, $40 on like one dinner for two or three of us. But anyway, go over to YouTube and search Chubs Gone Wild and watch our videos. Please consider becoming a patron of the show at patreon.com/MattBurleyGame. Find Tom's movie and TV reviews over at swannerandjudd.com. Find their podcast in iTunes or at iHeartRadio. And you can find more about my books at justkisstheguy.com and check out my other podcast at bigksexshow.com. And if you have any problems with the show, just go ahead and write to Tom at, no, I'm kidding. Give us a call at,
40869 Chubs.
I should really make sure that's still working.
Oh my God. And also, you know, um, just like us on the different places, and you'll get it every week, and you won't even have to hear us say that anymore.
That's true. You'll get it every week.
Every time we post a new one, it'll tell you.
But the bottom line is just like us. Just like
Yeah. Whenever you subscribe, and then every time we post a new scary. Oh wait, sorry.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you'll be the first one to get it.
That's true.
You know what shocks me? On Nuke's top five. Um, I got the notification and I got out of bed because I'm going to go watch it right away.
Uh,
And it said it was like it had been out for 23 minutes and 71,000 people had already watched it.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it
And
is.
after a couple of weeks, it'll be about 2 or 3 million. But just how many people go, oh, boom.
Yep. Yeah. There's
Yeah, it was the
a few
first
of
one
those that I
that
followed it.
one
Yeah.
day I was the first one. It came not Nukes, but it was a different one. And it came out right away. And I immediately went to it and liked it right away. So I knew I'd be the first person.
Nice.
I know.
And you have to comment first. Yeah. Well, that's what we used to do when we were younger. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. And, we will catch you next week. All right. Bye.